Hello and welcome to our show Great Britain in Focus. I'm Pascal Mary Rakovich.
And I'm Justin Harmer. Join us as we follow the Central London Corpus Christi Procession from Our Lady of the Assumption in Warwick Street to St James's Spanish Place, which took place on the 23rd of June.
We join Joanna Bogle in discussion with James McCullough on location on the Norfolk coastline, talking about the conversion of Saxon England and the challenges to Christianity from the Viking invasions.
Our on-location team filmed a recent priestly ordination of a Grey Friar in Oxford and recorded some reflections by a Franciscan priest on ordination and vocation to the priesthood.
Earlier last month, the EWTN GB team were invited to a unique event in Poland. Join our team on location at the Sacroexpo exhibition to see the huge gathering of Catholic artisans. On the 23rd of June, the annual Corpus Christi Procession took place in central London, from Our Lady of the Assumption in Warwick Street to St James's Spanish Place.
We follow the procession, which gave a powerful visual witness of the faith to the ordinary residents and visitors on that day to the West End of London.
We're carrying him because we've got to take him out into the streets in our lives, and so a procession is a little sort of vision of what we should be doing in our Christian life, which is carrying Jesus into the streets.
Such a joy. And miracles happened today. There were people who joined the procession, who were bystanders, and I think many mustard seeds were sown.
In this area of central London that are so crowded with everything but God.
Who just stand still and think, okay, what is this? And that's a good opportunity to explain our faith to that and proclaim it.
I think the march was amazing because we gave a testimony to Jesus while marching through the streets of London, and to see everyone else watching Jesus being taken and all of us being reverent.
So I love that we had the old English hymns, we had the Latin hymns, to just sort of show the depths of faith and the long tradition, and also that we started with a hymn by St Thomas Aquinas, of course, was sort of the moving voice behind the institution of the Feast of Corpus Christi.
It's one of those days when you know why you are a Catholic. You have absolutely no doubts whatsoever.
Joanna Bogle continues her series of talks about the history of Christianity in early Britain in conversation with James McCullough.
Speaking on location around Norfolk, they discuss the historical characters involved in the Christian conversion of Saxon England and how Christianity survived despite the pagan invasions of the Vikings.
Now I'm walking across this map of England. I've just come from the Isle of Wight and splashed across the Thames, really. Tell me about East Anglia, because that's where we're standing at the moment. Well, the Angles settled here, you know.
Absolutely, and I live in East Anglia. I live in Norfolk, not far from here, but I'm also half Irish, so I'm going to combine the two. So as we see this sort of the conversion of the Angles and Saxons all the way up from Canterbury, up the east coast as the Firth the Fourth, an example of this is East Anglia. So the East Anglian king, he now becomes Christian. He now invites the monks from Canterbury, bringing up the more Roman style of Christianity into his kingdom. They establish a monastery at a place called Soham here, and also another church at Ely. But at the same time, the King of East Anglia, he's heard about these amazing Irish missionaries from the King of Northumbria. So he invites some of the Irish missionaries that are down here to convert some of the more rural population in his kingdom. So there's this combination of this juxtaposition of the Irish form and the Roman form again, or should I say the Celtic form and the Roman form. And I find this fascinating. It all works out in the Synod of Whitby.
And that is where St Hilda comes in.
Absolutely.
And this fascinating argument that includes, in no particular order of importance, the dating of Easter,
Yep.
the monk's hairstyle, the tonsure,
yes,
as well as a myriad of other things. And you end up almost with saints on both sides, don't you?
Yes.
Arguing their way. And you know what I find funny is that we think that today any arguments in the church are new. There's nothing new.
Nothing new, absolutely.
There's nothing new.
It's all in history.
And here we are, and it's all going up this eastern coast.
Up as far as there. And then we find more Christianity spreading across here towards the west. Mercia finally gives way to Christianity, one of the last Saxon kingdoms. And then stage is set for the coming of the Vikings. Again, east coast invasions, but also invasions around Scotland. They even invade up the Channel here. So we find on all sides the Christian Anglo-Saxon kingdoms are now being threatened by pagan invaders. History repeats itself.
So all the while the Anglo-Saxons are being slowly Christianized, and we're also getting the Irish monks coming across, and they're bringing with them the common history that they have of what we might say Celtic Christianity. You've got some bits of what we today call England, which are not English at all. I'm thinking of Wales, of course, which is Welsh.
Definitely.
And Cornwall, and that all comes from the Welsh or strangers. Well, they aren't strangers. They're not strangers if you live in Cornwall and Wales. They're just the us, the people, the Cymru, you know. Yes. And these are the people that the Anglo-Saxons never got to because they're to the west. They remain Christian. And so you have these wonderful Cornish saints. Place names are just terribly interesting.
Yes.
Cornwall, the core, the heart of the wall, what the Saxons called the Welsh, the strangers, Cornwall.
Yes,
and then Wales, the other, the stranger, the Falsh, the Valsh. But of course they aren't the strangers, they're the original inhabitants.
Absolutely, the natives,
The natives, and they are Christian. And that's another whole story, but it's not the one to be telling on a coast in East Anglia.
True. Whilst we're talking about East Anglia, I just want to show you something where we are actually standing. We've mentioned how the Angles and Jutes and Saxons may have arrived on these shores, but actually straight over there, through those trees, not half a mile away, is Holcombe Estate, and on the estate there is a church dedicated to St. Withburga. Now, St. Withburga was one of 4 daughters to King Anna of East Anglia. Now, he was one of the first Christian kings of East Anglia, and his 4 saintly daughters, one of whom, Withburga, went on to found a nunnery down at Dereham.
I've got to find out about these people because Ham, that's German Heim, that's a Saxon name. Dereham, Holcombe, this is all Saxon Christianity, and it throws up saints.
Yes, it does, it does. But yeah, Withburga, I like to think that we can almost see her homestead from here. There she was, growing up in the early days of Anglo-Saxon Christianity. What was it like for her? What was her way of life like? But 4 daughters who were all saints, that's remarkable.
That's remarkable. And all on this, even today, rather remote feeling, just right up where the North Sea pounds the shore.
That's right.
It's rather marvellous, isn't it?
Father Gerard Mary, a Grey Friar, reflects on the recent celebration of the priestly ordination of Father Colin Mary Edwards by Bishop Michael Gregory Campbell, OSA, at the Blackfriars Priory in Oxford.
He shares some thoughts on the call to the priesthood and his own vocation story.
Before you proceed to the order of the presbyterate, declare before the people your intention to undertake this priestly office. Are you resolved, with the help of the Holy Spirit, to discharge without fail the office of priesthood in the presbyteral order, as a conscientious fellow worker with the bishops in caring for the Lord's flock?
I am.
When we hear that God has called a certain man to the ministerial priesthood, we mustn't think along the lines that God has only just noticed something in this person that he likes or appreciates, or that only recently has God come to understand just how this particular man might be able to help build up his holy church. Nothing about God is hasty or unplanned. To begin then, we believe that God has willed every person into existence, meaning that he has a loving and definite plan for each one of us. No one is an accident. God wills that all may be saved and come to knowledge of the truth, so much so that he never ceases working in our lives and souls so as to bring us ever closer to himself. Every Catholic priest will have a different story concerning how God spoke to him, how God called him from the busyness of his daily work, so as to labour instead in the vineyard of the Lord, helping to save souls for Jesus and through Jesus.
Accept from the holy people of God the gifts to be offered to him. Know what you are doing and imitate the mystery you celebrate. Model your life on the mystery of Christ's cross.
When God calls a man to sacred ministry, he is inviting him to become a fisher of men, a healer of hearts, a binder of wounds, a breaker of fetters, a man who, leading the flock of Christ which has been entrusted to him, gives proper glory and worship to God, principally through the reverent and devout celebration of the sacraments, and most especially by offering to the Heavenly Father, on behalf of the Church and the world, the one and eternal sacrifice Christ made on Calvary, in a bloodless manner, in Holy Mass. In other words, the call to priesthood is a call for that man to become another Christ, to participate in the one priesthood of Christ in a manner which is directed at the unfolding of the baptismal grace of all Christians.
Behold the Lamb of God. Behold him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb. Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed.
The authenticity of this call to priesthood is something discerned and decided upon, not only by the man himself who feels he has received it, but also by Holy Mother Church, who rightly has the final say in determining the quality and the substance, both of the call and of the priestly candidate himself. Those who feel that they have been called by God to be a priest must learn to place all of their trust in Jesus. If the call is from God, and if the man who has received this call perseveres in faithfulness and charity, then God's holy plan will flourish within him and bear abundant fruit. For some men, the call to holy priesthood has always seemed to be part of them. They had a sense of being set apart for God's purposes, even while their childhood friends dreamed about being a pilot or a football player or an army hero. Other men, however, only discern God calling them to priesthood later in their life. In God's loving providence, each man who discerns the call to priesthood does so after having been prompted by God himself. However, if God has called a man to receive the sacrament of holy order, to live a life at the service of the common priesthood of all the faithful, then it is a call God has already prepared the way for, by first setting the man aside for this wonderful purpose. In other words, the divine call to priesthood that a man begins to feel, speaking quietly to his intellect and gently encouraging his will, is a call that has always been there, whether comprehended or not, reverberating throughout the man's entire existence. Indeed, even from the moment of his conception. The priestly vocation has been, as it were, woven into his very being, even before he was fully formed in his mother's womb. This is because the works and the ways of God are purposeful. They are deliberate and discernible. And as God stands outside of time, as the creator of all that is, nothing is hidden from his gaze or triumphs over his divine will. Clearly, this is not to say that a man who has been called by God to be a priest will inevitably go on to become one, or that such a man is, in some respect, either coerced or predetermined, in a narrow sense, to become a priest. No, God respects the freedom he has entrusted us with, to either accept or to reject his invitations. But nevertheless, we do hold that God invites and calls people to love and serve him in a particular ministry or state in life. In a certain way, one could see that a call to priesthood is like grace itself, a free gift from God, something completely unmerited and something which could never have been earned. My heartfelt advice to any man who believes they may be called by God to the ministerial and sacrificing priesthood is to take concrete steps forward in the discernment of this vocation. As you begin earnestly upon the path of prayerful discernment, consecrate yourself and entrust everything to the care of Mary Immaculate and to Royal St. Joseph, both of whom were entrusted with loving, protecting and forming Christ, the eternal High Priest.
Immaculate Conception, Mary, my mother, live in me, act in me, speak in me and through me. Let me live in you and keep me in this union always, as I now consecrate my priesthood and the remainder of my earthly existence to your immaculate heart. O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee.
Never doubt the goodness, the mercy, the graciousness and the power of God, who has, without doubt, a definite mission for you and for your life. May God, in his loving kindness, bless you, keep you, shed the light of his face upon you, and give you peace. Amen.
The EWTN GB team attended the Sacroexpo in the city of Kielce in Poland in June 2019. Sacroexpo is an international exhibition of church construction, fittings and furnishings, interior design, religious art, liturgical vestments, stained glass windows, sculptures, books, multimedia and more.
We speak to Dr. Andrzej Mohon, the president of the board of the Exhibition Centre, on the success of the event and his hopes for the future of Catholic artisans.
the city of Kielce. EWTN GB have been invited by the organisers of an event here. We're at the Sacroexpo exhibition. This is basically like a Catholic trade fair. It's a remarkable thing. We've got exhibitors from all over Europe, mostly Polish, but we've got Ukrainians, Spanish, Portuguese, Italians, and even from the USA. Come and have a look at some of the things they're making. So over here, we've got sculptures in wood and stone. We've got vestments, we have clocks, we have Bibles, and behind us over here, we even have bell makers. Have a look at these. It's quite remarkable what is actually being sold here. These are artisans who are producing things of great beauty, also things of utility, things which are needed in every diocese, every parish throughout Europe. Over here we have some beautiful carvings in wood. And over here you can see in the corner here some stained glass window manufacturers. So these are people who are making wonderful objects, everything from candles, statues, church bells, vestments, anything that could be needed by any church. So let's go and have a look at some of the exhibitors here and some of the craftsmen, some of the things that are being produced. Okay. Do you just make sculptures for churches, for the church, for...
Mostly for churches. Okay. This is Schnitzerei in German language. This means wood carving for use.
So your work is like that of St. Joseph the carpenter?
Sometimes, yes.
Yes.
For example, this figure needs 300 hours.
300 hours.
I say about. Yeah. So this carpentry work is maybe 10 hours.
Right.
Rest is...
yes. Yes. And you won an award last night?
It was from Premier Bishop of Poland.
Yes. What did it mean for you to receive this award?
On the end, this is perhaps 4 times.
4 times, okay.
So it's not so strong impression.
Sure.
Because we are here 20 times. And in beginning was a lot of wood carvers, a lot of sculptures in wood. Now we are only 2.
Because you make things by hand?
By hand.
In wood?
In wood.
Natural materials. I think your carvings really give a very strong emotional impression to people. And so maybe...
This is what we want to have, this effect.
A strong emotional appeal. It is remarkable that there are artisans still remaining like yourselves who are working in natural materials, giving great joy to people through their hard work and dedication.
This is effect of wood. Wood is natural and...
Well,
but we like it. If I don't like it, this work, I never will do this because this is not only money.
Yes.
There's something more.
So I'd like to welcome Dr. Andrei Mohani, who is the organizer of this event. Could you tell us, first of all, describe to us what is the Sacroexpo?
It is our unique exhibition devoted only to the all needs of churches. Mostly it's Catholic Church, but we have some minorities. We have more than 500,000 of Orthodox people. They are located, they live mostly in the eastern part of end of Poland. 95% of Polish are Catholics.
And I noticed there were some nationalities represented other than just Polish exhibitors. Who are these people and why have they come here?
This is the only one exhibition of its kind in this part of Europe. This exhibition is ranked as second large exhibition in its kind in Europe, after the exhibition in Italy. And that's why exhibition is visited by the visitors, by the priests and church people, not only from Poland, but also from neighborhood countries as Ukraine, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary, Baltic states, even Germany.
And to British viewers, this would be a very unusual event to have, if you like, a Catholic trade fair. Tell me, is this some sort of collaboration between commerce and the church?
I would say that the parishes in Poland are still very lively. So Polish people tend to attend the Mass, Holy Mass, each week. The most of Polish do like this. And that's why also the cities are growing. And new parishes are being established still. And the old churches, they need to be rebuilt and so on. And there are also new techniques. Here you can see very sophisticated equipment, software for providing the different services in parishes and so on. And so that's why the exhibits, they changed. When I remember the first exhibition we organized 20 years ago and this year, the products change.
And I noticed that last night in the gala event that you held, there was some prizes given out. Could you tell us about these awards?
Yes, the most important award is this offered by the Cultural Council of Vatican, and they are decided and also signed personally by Cardinal Gianfranco Ravasi, the president of this council.
So hopefully we'll have some suppliers and some artisans from the UK in the next event.
Yeah, we hope. Let's think about the future.
Okay.
Maybe it will change.
Okay, Dr. Andre, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Full versions of these interviews can be found on our website. And please remember that we rely on your donations to continue bringing you great British programming.
Please visit ewtn.co.uk for further details on how to donate. Do join us next time. Goodbye and God bless.